let me shed a little light on the cost of all of this. So I bought a big box of Sculpey for like $23. It was a big box, but I used my coupon, and I also had some Sculpey left over from other projects. So, you know, there's that cost. If you don't have tools, you're gonna have to buy the tools for it. And you might need other things that soften the Sculpey, that harden the Sculpey, that help it Sculpey adhere to each other. And you might spend, and I didn't spend a super long time sculpting this, and that's kind of obvious, but I mean, for somebody who doesn't have any sculpting experience or somebody who doesn't do it very often, you know, it might take them a couple of weeks or a couple of months, depending on the size and the difficulty, to sculpt something that they would feel comfortable molding. And then, just to make the mold for this baby, I used 2 containers of this. Well, actually not this one, but dragon skin. Those run about $47 each. Now, the reason why it took me 2 containers is because I did the baby full size, cut it down, and then re-sculpted it and had to re-pour it. And you do about 5 or 6 layers of this, and it gets eaten up pretty quick. These little containers, I think, are just, they're a pound each, 0.45 kilograms. That's not a lot of silicone. So there's that cost. It's like $50 or $100 depending how big your sculpt is. I mean, if it's a full-size baby, probably going to go through a lot more than that. Then remember too, you're going to have some in reserve to reseal seams, to do repairs, all that good stuff. So say for this size baby, $100 in dragon skin minimum, and we paid $20-something for this. And then you have tools, which you're going to reuse over and over again, so you really can't count that cost. You kind of have to eat that. And after that, I'm going to pour this, and it will take probably one 2-pound pack. So that's another $50 just to pour the silicone. You're lucky if the first one comes out and works. It's probably not. So you're probably going to need to get another one. Or you can bite the bullet and buy the gallon size, which is about $200. You're going to need a vacuum extractor to get all the bubbles out, and that's another $200. Again, you're going to use that over and over and over again, so you can't really count that, but you can count replacing valves and filters and all that good stuff. And then once that baby's out, again, you're going to need pigment, you're going to need thinners, you're going to need mold release. I think I paid $30 for my mold release. I paid $40 for my paint. And then you have to think that you're going to need odd things like cups, all this kind of stuff. Cups and stirrers and sponges and all that good stuff. Brushes that are going to need to be disposable. Matting powder, which is really expensive. The brushes that go with that you're not going to be able to reuse over and over again. Your palettes. Dawn dishwashing soap, the big economy size. A lot of lotion because your hands and your skin, they just get fried from all the washing because it's a degreaser, so it's degreasing your hands. And paper, parchment paper, whatever you want to work on. And the bottom line is you hope to get one baby out of that. And so that is why the costs for these are expensive. Not to mention that it might take me a whole day just to trim and fill a baby and get it to where it looks good enough to paint. And then you're going to have a whole day of painting. And it's not that it takes a whole day to do it, it's just that you have to cure in between. And if you're force curing, that still takes time. And if you're letting it dry naturally, which is the best way, if you get allured by it and you're saying, oh, for that much money, I'll just make one myself. Because I know I've been there. Don't be fooled by that. Be ready for, have like a couple of $1,000s to invest. And that's not an investment that is going to make you money yet. That's just an investment to learn, to practice, to make your mistakes. Then you're going to need to take a class or 2. That's going to be another $1,000. Or, if you're really great at it, maybe $400 or $500. And again, you're going to have a couple of practice babies where you're just going to need to practice and practice, and you probably should buy a silicone sculpt that's already made so you can get an idea of what it's supposed to look like, how it's supposed to feel. It's a pricey investment. I gave it a lot of thought, and I was, maybe I'm going to do it, maybe I'm not going to do it. I don't know. I got to think about it. Finally decided to bite the bullet and do it just because I really, really, really wanted a mermaid, and I couldn't find the mermaid that I wanted. And I got itchy to sculpt, and I said, you know what, this is silly, let's just get this done and do it. I think I talked about that in another video. And I invested, probably about $2,000 in babies that somebody else made and poured. You're thinking about doing this because you think it's going to be your new day job. I would advise against that. Not unless you're super talented, you're super smart, and you have a lot of money to invest. Anyway, again, not trying to deter anybody, but I like to know ahead of time what's up. I like to know what the truth is like. You know, if I'm gonna invest in a certain kitchen tool or a small appliance, I like to talk to my friends, and I like to find out, you know, is this something that's is it sitting in your cupboard? Is it out in your garage? Do you use it every day? What are the perks? What are the pros? What are the cons? And then kind of make a decision for myself. So I'm just sharing my experience with you. I am having a super, super great time. I'm having a lot of fun. I'm learning a lot. I don't expect that this is going to make me $1 billion. Not even a little bit. But what I'm doing is, you know, I'm exercising my creative muscles. Well, last year I was privileged enough to sell a lot of babies, and the feedback was super great. And between you and me and the rest of whoever is watching this, I really feel like the ultimate cool thing in all of it was the feedback. I really, really loved the feedback. I love people getting a baby and being super happy at me. That was worth all the time and money I invested. And I'm still bummed about the Rose Show. I know I keep bringing it up, but I really am bummed about it. I really, really wanted to go just to hang out and see other people's work and chat and have somebody to talk to about it that didn't think that this was really, really strange and kind of crazy. Hey everyone, welcome back to my big mess. I just got out here. It's about 8:30, and I started to demold some stuff for unmold. I don't know what the right word is, but I did the tail first, and I did it without you because it was really hard and it took a long time, and it would have been boring to watch, but it worked. There are some places that I have to trim and some holes I have to fill, but it's so fleshy. It turned out so pretty. I didn't think it was going to work, and it did, and I am so, so, so happy. And let me snip this real quick. I tied a little bit of jute around the mold just to give it a little more support. I probably didn't have to do that, but it just felt right. Again, if I would have had a mother mold, it would have been better. That's so funny because I really wanted to be a surgeon for a long time. When I was young, I wanted to be an astronaut, a surgeon, a midwife, a mom, a rock star. You know, there's a list of things that everybody wants to be. But even when I was a little kid, I was super, super intrigued by surgery. I wasn't ever put off by it. I always thought it was very fascinating. And I loved it that you could just go inside of a human body and just fix things that were broken. And that everything healed and went back where it was supposed to go usually. And I actually did grow up to work in an OR for a really long time in labor and delivery. So I did get that experience, but I was passing instruments and assisting. I was just kind of part of the team. There we go. You don't want to rip this off real quick, because even though there's mold release in there, it still wants to stick to itself, and so you kind of have to like peel it off. Everybody's in the kitchen in the house. We were listening to the Les Mis soundtrack. My son did that play a while back, and he was Marius in it, and it was like one of all of our favorite performances. And we were listening to it in the kitchen. It was so beautiful. We were crying. We're a Weird Family. Just released a little cover on YouTube this morning. He did the Beatles' I Want to Hold Your Hand, and he did it really slow and haunting. It was so gorgeous. So, so gorgeous. Very clean, very nice. I'll put that away for another time. So I'm going to trim the tail. And, ooh, bad news. Look at that. That whole bit did not get molded. So I'm going to have to report. So you can see where I didn't take it. It was just a great big air bubble. I am bummed about that, but that's okay. And let's see if this worked. This part of the head looks good. Ear looks good. There we go, a little air bubble in the chin. And I don't want to rip out the neck here. Ooh, this is really great. We just have the seam down here. There they are. Why does one look bigger than the other? I have no idea. Have fun about this. I know it looks like a lot of work and maybe, you know, it's not perfect. But honestly, I'm super, super happy that I stuck with it and I learned new stuff. It was not an inexpensive lesson, for sure, but that's okay. Alrighty, I'm going to tidy up this mess and take care of business in the house, and I will see y'all in a little bit. Morning! It's Friday, April 10th, I believe. I mean, I'm having a hard time with my days. Maybe a lot of you are too. If you're still working outside of your house, probably not so much, but if you're indoors, shelter in place with your family, all the days are kind of blurring into each other, I think. It feels a little dramatic to say that, but that's the truth for us here. I have not been working on the mermaids because I took a silicone painting class this week with Susan Dizon-Gibbs. It was a nice online class. Today is actually our last day. And you know, I learned a little bit about how to work with silicone, and I really needed that because I wasn't sure about all the rules. I can paint, but that was a new medium for me, and it's a very tricky one, to tell you the truth. It's very strange to paint with, and I am cleaning my palette right now, getting ready for class. And I'll explain all this mess on my workstation in just one second. I'm going to tidy this up too. And I'm sorry if watching people tidy is annoying to you, but I need to get ready, and I wanted to make a video super quick because I feel like I just have not gotten anything up on YouTube. So I'm taking that class, and it was a week. It was for a week, and it was 3 hours a day, and a lot of it we're watching her paint. I think she is from, I think it's Dizon Designs. She makes, for the Reborn community, she makes these really cool bags that are like, can be folded down and turned into a bassinet. And she goes to all the doll shows. She's been around forever and ever. And I just happened to like find her at the right time and get in on a class. So it was nice. It's a little more challenging than I thought. You know, I thought, well, you know, painting's painting. I'm just using something else. And that's true. Silicone is not a paint. And it's not designed to be a paint. So we're manipulating something and turning it into paint using pigment and silicone. And so it's thick, kind of like honey. And you're painting on this kind of squishy surface. And it kind of pools and runs, and it's a very odd thing. These are the limbs. I'm keeping them in a plastic bag so they don't get dusty. And I just did that last night. This whole week I haven't, and I've been fighting all the dust. Silicone's like a magnet.